Good morning. I'm Lorna Storr. I've lived in Aklavik for over about 50 years now, but I was born in Fort McPherson and got married and I moved here. And when I first moved here, I started working at a youth center, doing activities with the kids. But I moved on to classroom assistant at Moose Creek School, and it kind of gave me some time to work with the students as athletes, and I kind of realized they didn't have the skills. They weren't taught the skills with what little that we gave. My husband was coaching at the time also, and the teacher, Jeff Dyke, also did some coaching. So I mentioned that to the principal, Tony Stewart, at the time, and he actually surprised me. He came back and asked if I would do junior high, and at the time we had grade 10, do their physical education classes. I was quite surprised, but I did. So we worked on skills. The kids weren't happy. They wanted to come and play soccer any which way they wanted, but I said, no, you have to learn the skills. Well, we went on to the athletes in soccer made it to a few Arctic Winter Games. They did very well. So with that, we ended up, I just stuck with coaching. I didn't intend to, but it came from, I guess, realizing kids are athletic and they need skills and someone to take the time to be with them and help them along. So that's where I got started. After I retired, or even before then, we did a lot of Denny games, which included snow snake, finger pull, hand games, and also the pole push. But there's other games involved with Denny games, such as the arm pull. There's another one with well, there's a lot of games incorporated, but they only use the 4 at the Arctic Winter Games, so we kind of concentrate on those. And so that's what I've been doing now. And this year we opened up the gym for badminton. We only got it for once a week. I'm sure we could get it for more, but the turnout has been, like last night we had so many kids show up, so there's an interest there. So I'm glad to see that kids are showing up, and young adults also. Okay. Back when we went away for high school, I went to Yellowknife. And we came from McPherson. McPherson had a small school. We didn't have a gym. We went to a sort of a bigger place. It was wasn't as big the size of a gym, but we did whatever we could. We didn't have the organized sport as they do today. We had outdoor sports. We did whatever we wanted outdoors, and we got to Yellowknife and we were encouraged to do sports. So I was going to join volleyball. Well, I didn't know a thing about volleyball or the rules, and it didn't work out so well. And I didn't know the rest of the athletes also. They were already way up above my level, so I thought I'm going to quit. Well, the gym teacher and his wife, who was also the other gym teacher, came to me at the hostel along with my friend. They said, no, you're not going to quit. You're going to stay in volleyball. And changed my mind. I thought, what a kind couple they were. I still never forgot them, because I kind of used that as I coached and in my teaching career. They were so fair with me, and that's how I try to treat my athletes. I try to be fair with everyone and give everyone a chance. So I just thought I wanted to put that in there. Oh, that's so with the athletes going to the games, it's in the years past, we used to have a group from our own region, and whoever made the most points got to take the team. So I used to have my players from this region, where I worked with the group from here. But now it goes to individual. So they select the top 4 by points. So now we have athletes from here, and I have the other athletes from the South Slave area. So it's kind of challenging, but Denny Games is individual, so you're able to work on your own time, your own skills, and you could show improvement in those areas. So The coach from Fort Smith is keeping in touch with the ones from there, so makes it challenging. So we work through Aboriginal Sports Circle. So when we get to Yellowknife on the 27th, they have a gym area set out for us to practice with pole push and probably hand games, which will help. Well, I always thought sports or athletics played a major role in your daily life, including young athletes that are in school. It motivates them. It gives them, I guess they look forward to the next practice day, and they're able to do better in school. I found that they did, and they want to be in school to do well, to be on these sports teams. I think it's important also because it gives them good physical skills, mental wellness, and it leads on to a healthier lifestyle, hopefully, and that they'll do well. And I know there's other activities. I know they have volleyball. There's a lot of interest in basketball now. We had a lady from the community that kind of introduced volleyball. So, basketball. So we had athletes trying out for basketballs at basketball team at the territorials. We also had a couple for volleyball. So it's hard in the smaller communities. We don't have enough to make two teams that you need to play against each other. So that's a challenging part. But they do very well. And like they did make alternative places, but it's like I mentioned, the challenge of not having enough athletes in the same teams. It sets like volleyball and basketball. The Walk to Tuck Challenge gets you out. It's they usually hold it in January and February when it's the coldest months, or like the sun is just coming back and it gets cold, but we've had pretty mild temperatures. Before Christmas, my granddaughter did a challenge, a walking challenge, so she got people out there too. It's good to see people out. I remember walking in Inuvik, and I always wanted to walk the bypass, but I didn't want to walk it alone. So I'm out walking one day and I noticed this lady walking. She was bundled up. I was bundled up. I said, "Are you walking to Tuck?" And she said, "Yes, this was the walk to Tuck. This was last year." I said, "Well, I want to do the bypass." And she said, "Well, that's where I'm going." So we walked, and halfway around, she says, "Well," I said, "Oh, goodness, we don't even know each other." I said, "I'm Lorna." She said, "Well, I'm Peggy." I said, "Peggy J?" Here we knew each other, and we thought we didn't know. That was funny. But we did do that, and it's good. You get out to see people walking, and it's been nice. It's a walking challenge through NWT Parks and Recreation Association out of Yellowknife. It's just a challenge to get people active and outdoors in the winter months. Not every kid is athletically inclined. Some don't really want to participate, but we do have phys ed, and I know I got all my students to participate there, and we actually took some kids that didn't want to play, but we did take them because we needed players on our soccer team. That worked well. We would travel to Yellowknife for super soccer, or we did go for volleyball one year. The challenge there is the expense of flying out of Aklavik. Like one way out of Aklavik for our team was $2,000. So another $2,000 return, plus traveling to Yellowknife and then getting accommodation and other expenses. But we do have a great recreation with the hamlet of Aklavik. They've supported us throughout the years. They've supported athletes. Every time anything came up, they would be there to support. So that helped, but it's still very challenging in other ways too. I guess our education system is based on student population. So I think that they just don't have the capacity or numbers to include a phys ed teacher. They did in the past. With skills, you have to start at an early age, younger age area, and then by the time they get to I believe it's grade 10 that they have phys ed classes with a teacher. It's kind of challenging for them to teach the skills. And if they're not taught by then, it's more difficult. So I did do the phys ed classes for 5 years. It sure was nice. The kids enjoyed it. They still remember. So since that was in 1980, I believe. I think that was in 1980. The challenges is our kids are on our alternates. They're just as good as the Yellowknife. We have athletes from our community that I took out. Like one year we won the soccer tournament. We won Super Soccer. That's the only banner we have in the school. I had 7 players. We played the final team of 16 players. And I had one sub. That's a player I took that she wasn't competitive. Like if you got to her, she'll give you the ball. But we needed a player. And she wouldn't play because it was so intense, and it went overtime. 2 times. It went to double overtime while we finally scored and won. The parents of those girls even came to hug my girls. They said they never ever saw such a game. So we did win it with 7 players. So we do have athletes from the communities, but they're just not. Yellowknife dominates, I guess. We do have good facilities here. Our arena ice is in, and I'm not sure about the curling rink, but we've had curling rink set up for playing in the last few years. I just wish that more scouts or team evaluators could come to the different communities to see. Like, why not come to Aklavik and see what's happening? Go to each community. I know Yellowknife's got the population to maybe upgrade their facilities, but we have athletes here to upgrade our facilities, I guess having, like, coaching so many years, good gosh, I coached kids. Now I'm coaching their kids. I call them my grandkids, because I coach their parents. But just to see them travel, even to get out to Yellowknife at a young age, it amazes them, and I'm so happy that I brought them. They enjoy getting out there. We coached earlier in the years. I had that young grade 7 class, grade 7 and 8, and we were coached. We did soccer skills. We did all the skills in each sport area. And the next year was the Arctic Winter Games. That was in 70. That would have been in 80, fall of 85. They needed a coach. And they were at the staff room door saying, we need a coach by 5 o'clock. And that the rec coordinator was there, and 5 o'clock was the deadline. And nobody would coach. Nobody wanted to coach them. So I thought, okay, regionals are in 2 weeks, and I suppose I could do that for them, and then it'll be over with. Well, they won at the regional level. And they said, well, what do we do? Where do we go now? I said, oh, I don't know. We got to go check. We were going to Inuvialuit. And even those kids said, well, where's that? We went to Inuvialuit. I had the youngest group of kids. I had the youngest group of kids. Again, we went in overtime, and they won. They were 12 and 13-year-old kids. So then again, they said, well, where do we go now? I said, oh, I don't know. We asked the ref standing there, and he said, you're the coach? You don't even know where you're going? Because I wasn't really. Well, we want to go to Whitehorse. We did get silver. They tried, but I think that was my highlight. And from there, we just continued coaching. Well, it's like a family. Once you get to know each other and you know what positions they're playing, or with Denny games, each one of us bring different skills into the team. So especially with Denny games now, you don't know who you're playing with yet till you don't actually know them. You went to the territorials, but you left not knowing each other. By the end of the games, they know each other so well, and they get along really well. So then they have, friendships, lifelong friendships, and that helps when they're out there ready to share and work with other kids. Because I know Davina came back to Aklavik and did some hockey skills with the younger kids. And I'm still coaching. I'm not sure. It's just that they need a coach, so I'm there to get out there and help them coach. I mean, help them succeed or get to the games. And it's been, they still mention it, you know, like in the past of who I coached. And in the first few years of coaching, after grade 9, grade 10, they would go to high school in Inuvik, so we kind of lost them. So, which was better for them because they already had some skills to do well in high school, because we had an older group of girls too that won gold at the Arctic Winter Games for soccer, but they did well in volleyball and went on to high school to do quite well. Within the community, it was hard to get an actual team going. So speaking of Davina, I know her parents sent her out to play hockey with a team. It was, you know, like a lot of expenses, but she did well. She played hockey for Arctic Winter Games. She was actually the captain at in Nuuk, Greenland, and they won gold. I think that was the first time they won gold in hockey. So she did well, and she went on to she's a coach in Whitehorse now. And Davina is my granddaughter. She did very well. She did a paddling competition from Fort McPherson to Aklavik. I can't remember the year, but her grandma is Margot McLeod. Margot and Eddie did a lot of paddling. They've succeeded in paddling, so they pass that on to their grandkids also. So Davina is my granddaughter. She's done very well with paddling and baseball and hockey and soccer. And so I forgot to mention the paddling part, the canoeing. There's a lot of competition here too, which is good too, because it's like kind of individual, if you could say that, and then comes to like partners, pairs. But they do paddling competitions. We had a group that did really well in the 1970 paddling from Fort Providence to Aklavik, actually. Yeah. I'm so sorry. I should have brought my mitts that my grandmother made me in 1985. I still wear it. But my grandmother was 99 when she passed. When she was in her late 80s, she always wanted to play baseball. She was very athletic. Every time you saw her, she walked. She would go for berries in the summer, hitchhike or ride up with strangers up on the highway in Fort McPherson, and be out there all day by herself. Get back to the highway before it gets dark and hitchhike back to McPherson. We used to get so upset with her because we were worried. But no, we couldn't hold her back. She was into a lot of, she kept active. So we did let her play baseball when she was 85, scared us. She actually hit that ball and ran around the bases. But I think through her, I kind of kept active. I just came from badminton last night. I play, I'm doing a lot of walking.
And how old are you? Oh, sorry.
She's an elder.
I will be 70 years old in April. It's pretty tough today with technology and kids staying home. I'm kind of sad when I walk. You don't see kids anymore. You see the few kids playing. Back before technology, you had kids sliding at the hill, kids playing in the ditches. There was, enough space there to slide down or make your own little sliding apparatus to use the ditches, or they were just out doing anything and everything. But now it's not so much anymore, and it's kind of sad to see that. They need to get out to have a good, mindset. It's mental wellness. It keeps them physically fit. Yeah, it needs to be done. And I think it's parents that need to get them out there. Yeah, it's just they need to get out there and be, doing stuff outside. It was never cold for, us or my kids. They were out the doors, and, they're going to meet at the the Bay Bank to go sliding, to go skidooing. You see a lot of kids skidooing, I suppose. They do that part, yeah. Well, the kids too used to bring their fishing hooks to school. right after school, they'd run across the river to go fishing. I don't know if they still do that. I hope so. They'd bring their fish, well, their bait. Well, that's what they used to use then. And they'd leave it in the porch, and as soon as school was out, but you could kind of know they had the bait there. But I wouldn't have anybody get them to put it away, because that was one thing that kept them going. Right after school, they left for across the river. They ran across. Now today you'd have to give them a ride, you know. So it was nice to see that they would run across to go fishing. So across the river would be what? Straight across would be like 2 kilometers? No, 3, yeah. 3 kilometers maybe. Yeah, so it would be like a half-hour walk for them maybe, for the kids. I always mentioned to my students that, you know, a dog team would never break down. They would take you where you want to go. Well, one kid out of that was Drayden. Ended up with one dog, and he trained the dog. He was in a harness. So I think one of the guys in town got a picture or a video of him flying, and the dog just knew where to go at. Yeah, so I know he had the dog like that. I wish I would have had my whistle. I had a whistle from my late father-in-law. It was all colorful with beads. I never did use a whistle. My kids knew if I spoke once, they listened, because they really wanted to be into sports and do the sports activities. I didn't use a whistle. You just don't need to. If you treat them right, respect them, they will give it back to you.